Welcome back to the Nullified Take, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Amazing Race Australia Celebrity Edition. It's season 7. The premiere happened this week. We've got the Celebrity Edition of the Amazing Race, and I've put together a Celebrity Edition of our podcast because, of course, my name is Kahuna. I'm being joined today by not Q, not S, not T, not R, not U, but V. Welcome back to the podcast, V. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I'm ready to go.
Excellent. And we are, of course, joined by the admin of all admins when it comes to Facebook reality TV groups. This is the goddess herself. Everyone welcome Michelle back to the podcast for the Amazing Race Australia.
Hello. I'm back. I'm also outside. It's a bit chilly.
Yeah, I'm looking like I'm sitting in my very comfortable office right now going, it is a bit cold outside, actually. Michelle going through the trauma of a spring evening for us. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Michelle.
That's okay.
We're going to start off the evening by sending a very quick shout out to some of the people in our chat. Andre Lee, always a fan of the Nullified Take podcast. So welcome, Andre. And he, of course, sends a $5 New Zealand donation with something that I don't know if I want to try to say that right now. But it's certainly hard to read, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's got it phonetically there. Yeah.
We'll come back to that later in the show. And I want to send a big shout out to Jonathan Gray, the resident Nullified Take statistician. We have RDC Fuden made it to the lives.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hi.
So we're going to have a good episode tonight. We are talking about The Amazing Race Season 7 premiere. We get 2 episodes per week, airing Wednesday and Thursday. So we're going to be meeting every Sunday to break it down. And because we've got 2 episodes to go through, and I'm trying to be really good about running this podcast in a professional, tight way. I've got Chris looking over my shoulder, breathing heavily all the time about it, I'm sure. So we're going to get straight into it. First thing we're introduced to in The Amazing Race, episode 1, New Year. It's great. It's exciting. Is of course the bustling city of New Delhi. It's hot, sweltering heat, frenetic energy, traffic, cars everywhere. There's 32 million people, make it an intense city. And it's the reason why I like this so much is that it's a contrast to their luxurious lifestyles of celebrities that, some of them actually said that they're not used to flying economy. They're not used, but India itself and New Delhi is such a smack in the face of talking about reality coming all at once. There's no bigger change from the lifestyle they're used to. And I know, Michelle, you said that in the history of The Amazing Race, India is kind of in a special place as well.
Well, India provides so much scope in terms of just challenges, different kinds of challenges, and the amount of people who are there. Just very colorful place, and obviously their food is spicy if they have to do food challenges or very different. And just it's just an assault on the senses for us, as well as for the the teams. And this is why I love it when they go to India. The US hasn't been to India for a while, so I love it. I love that we've gone to India first step.
What did you think of India as the launching point here, V? I know you're not familiar necessarily with a lot of the seasons, but oftentimes they'll start in Australia, either in Sydney or Melbourne, or the US one will start in the US and then fly to the destination. We actually saw that they started out, the start line itself was in a different country altogether. What did you think of having it start in New Delhi?
Yeah, I noticed that too. Out of the small amount of The Amazing Race that I've watched, it does seem that perhaps that whole journey and perhaps the jet lag and getting your bearings plays into it. But it did look like they had significant time, maybe not in the area, but close to it, to maybe wrap their heads around the whole place. So, I think they were given a little bit of a boost, but it looked fabulous. It looked challenging. And gosh, if any show is going to make you want to travel, I'll tell you what, it's this one.
We also want to send a shout out to Scott Peckinpah. He said, hi, I'll actually have here live today and saw both episodes yesterday. So you're nice and refreshed. You've got it all in the memory banks. And Jonathan Gray commenting also on the starting line. What do you guys think of the outside Australia starting line? Do we think it actually makes that much difference, Michelle?
It makes a difference to me because I can't find them. I hate not being able to find them. I remember for the first 3 seasons, I was very close to, I think, season 2, their start line. You know, I was at one end of Sydney. Well, not one end. I was literally, 5-minute walk away from where they were. So highly frustrating for me that they're always starting outside of Australia. But it takes... I like it when they start here because then they've got they do a challenge here, then they do the travel. However, starting overseas, it means they get into it all straight away, and there isn't just the argy-bargy of getting to the airport and all that. I think it's good that they start overseas.
Yeah, it set a pace for the show, like for the series, like straight off the bat. Like it's straight in, running straight away, straight into the race. And it's in that city of New Delhi. Again, the intense slap to the face of reality that it is, that we meet our 11 teams, 11 celebrities and their racing partners. Last week we went to, we did a review or a preview of the season and had a quick look at our teams. So I'll do that. We'll do that now, just to recap for the first episode. Yeah. Okay, so just to remind everyone, we've got Darren and nephew Tristan, Beck and sister Kate, Grant and wife Chezzy, George and sister Pam, Emma and sister Haley, Harry and mate Teddy, Ali and mum Angie, Yana and son Cornelis or Cor, Ben and wife Jackie, Peter and daughter Frankie, Dane and dad Bo. Well, this is how we sort of rank them with our collective brain power. We're going to find out if we're accurate across 2 episodes. It makes it harder when there's 2 episodes. A little, we got to kind of figure out a little bit of leeway for that and how we're going to figure that out. But we had amazing races who we think we're going to pre-season. We're going to be the best ones. Middle of the pack sort of explains itself, and then early exits who we weren't that confident in. And we'll come back to them and discuss how that is. But there are 11 teams of celebrities that kicked off the race. And the race begins with the first clue they get. Participants have to basically navigate New Delhi streets in a tuk-tuk or tuk-tuk, looking for the Royal Palace. And Bo, being Bo, puts in a little joke there that it's not the Royal Palace, it's the Royal Palace Hotel. A little bit of a dingy sort of thing. But we get our first clue. And again, just the intro of New Delhi and all that sort of thing. I'm really loving Bo. Like the fact that he is so comedic and it sat funny with me at the start because you see him in the middle of the street introducing the city and doing his spiel. And I'm like, it just looks like, like those annoying TikTok videos that are just really interrupting everyone in the middle of the city or whatever. But he's, a privileged rich white guy goes into the middle of busy Indian street and just doing his thing and getting in the way. And but it brings so much comedy. So I appreciated that. But they're looking for the Royal Palace Hotel. And
they're really freaked out with the traffic. Really freaked out.
Really freaked out with traffic. There's a lot going on here. We see a lot of reactions. My favorite thing, first of all, was Frankie Rosethorn saying, "Let's follow Grant Denyer. He's really smart." And Pete goes, "Who says Grant Denyer's smart? He's a game show host. Why is he smart?" I thought that was great. But yeah, the traffic and the tuk-tuks themselves really caused a bit of issues. Like they're getting the heat. They're getting all that thing. Darren McMullen says it was hot, like really hot. We get the line from Grant Denyer saying that it's like crawling to Satan's asshole. King George and his sister Pam coming across the realities of street beggars in India. What did you think of his little interaction here with his people he's meeting on the street?
It was, you know what? Some people might take it the wrong way, but he did explain it to me that in his culture, they do funny things like that all the time. So, yeah, when he did it, I'm like, oh, dear. But, yeah, he explained it to me.
Is he like, he cursed, he literally cursed, I curse on you.
No,
and
he said that he does that
like, what?
He says he does that in normal life anyway, which is funny. I liked how Darren McMullen actually said, I love the chaos, and all you could see was chaos, and I love the chaos too. So this is why I love India.
It absolutely was chaos. So King George taken the more aggressive approach to the street beggars. The Harry and Teddy took the complete opposite approach. I don't know if you saw the interaction they had with.
Oh
I don't
God,
know why.
yes. Like seriously.
And
My gosh,
well, you
I
can't
don't
speak
know
English,
what was
so just do
worse.
this.
Yeah,
My gosh,
exactly.
look,
Which was worse.
it didn't show Australians in the best light. I think both those interactions.
No.
I don't think they were incredibly sensitive. I think King George was acting like a king straight off the bat with that interaction. But yeah, it was a little bit cringe. But you know what? They've just got to be honest at the end of the day, and if that's what's in their hearts, then that's what's in their hearts.
And then we
And
had
also, when they were running out of the park, I don't know whether it was Harry or Teddy, are calling themselves stallions. I'm like, stop it. They did it further on. They've done it a couple of times. I don't want to hear that crap. What is that? Calling yourself a stallion?
Well, just look at the opening credits. They've got the shirts off. They've got they're looking for that next sexy reality show that they can go on.
Oh, jeez.
Well, Bo even said that when they were walking in. You can't have a competition reality show without the dating show, man meat or whatever he said. Like some term for him, fully acknowledging that they are kind of the eye candy on the season, I guess. Beck, Judd, they got surprised by the traffic light beggars as well, which is always fun. I don't know why, despite my advanced age and being quite mature, when people get scared, it just makes me laugh. I don't like.
Yeah,
jump
I
scares.
was laughing. Yeah,
yeah, and she just wanted an iced latte. Instead, she gets like frightened on the side of the tuk-tuk. So that was good. That of course took them to our first detour. It was Wedding Wish or Chicken Dish.
Yes.
Basically, they're sourcing items from the Canary Bazaar. Wedding Wish would find 2 intricately dressed mannequins and try to basically copy or exactly copy the outfit, take a photo. Chicken Dish, find 5 ingredients that make up what look like an amazing butter chicken and bring them there. So it's kind of a challenge that we've seen before. You have to get a list, and with the craziness that is the bazaar and the market there, shenanigans and hijinks ensue, Michelle.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know which one to pick there, because I know both of them are fraught with danger in that, the market could be huge and you can't get from one side to the other, let alone find where your tuk-tuk is that dropped you off. And then you've got the Wedding Wish, which is attention to detail. And they've had this sort of challenge with other clothing items, and it's really difficult if it's very finicky and having to get the specific pattern. Very difficult. I think in the end, I probably would have gone for Chicken Dish.
Chicken Dish?
Yeah.
Well, we actually had RD confirming India always brings a drama season after season whenever they're there. And Jonathan correcting me, as he always does, that it's a limited detour, not a full detour. Andre disagrees with the Chicken Dish. He would pick the wedding challenge that is easy compared to having to remember all the tartan patterns of all the country flags. A wedding challenge. Wait, what? Was that another challenge?
He would have picked the wedding one, Wedding Wish, because of he thought it was easier.
All the tartan patterns.
And having to remember
all
a
the country
tartan
flags.
pattern. That we've had
Yeah.
challenges before where they've had to remember flags and things like that.
So essentially what it comes down to is, like you said, attention to detail, hugely important for the Wedding Wish. And then Chicken Dish is probably more physical. It's carrying 15 or 20 kilos of tomatoes. V, we know Michelle's going physical. She wants to carry. What about you, V? What are you going? Wedding Wish, Chicken Dish?
I think the memorizing would have me undone. The memorizing in that environment, and potentially on jet lag as well. I think it clearly tripped up a lot of the contestants, whereas the Chicken Dish, yes, it was more physical, but there was no room for error. Like, you had the list. And for me, if I was able to preempt something being a bit clearer and not relying on memory so much, that'd be the one I'd take. But it's hard to know until they actually get there and do it. Like, I think the Wedding Wish tripped them up, but they thought, yes, same kind of thing. But even the slightest little patterns on the hat gotten
Yeah.
them sent back.
And that's the level of detail that the Amazing Race often requires of contestants. And we saw people maybe being celebrities, not as familiar with the show, and not realize they're just like going to get an outfit, not realizing it has to be the very specific outfit, which I think is always an interesting challenge. So we actually had Yan and Cor, Darren and Tristan, Ben and Jackie, Grant and Chezzy, and George and Pam on the Wedding Wish, with a very, very short-lived alliance between George and Pam and Yana and Cor as soon as it started. You want to run this together? Sure thing. And then complete opposite directions. And the funny thing is, Michelle, they actually were both blaming each other.
I
Like that,
know.
I suppose it was supposed to be an alliance, and they just ran off. So
I couldn't tell who was in the wrong by watching it. But it's always nice to add a bit of a spice to the show and a little bit of conflict.
And then George gets to use that in a line. Like he'll say, I may forgive Yana, but I'll never forget. You don't mess with George of Bankstown and his sister Pam. And he's any little tiny, like little bit of fuel, and he just puts a fire. He's like, yes, give me more great TV. George is great for that. I love it. So yeah, the attention to detail, the real difference maker there. I think I don't know, but like I said, if you know that that's what the Amazing Race does and it has to be exact, then you might pay a little bit more attention the first time around rather than getting to the shop and realizing, it has to be quite specific. So maybe that pre-knowledge might have helped, but Chicken Dish was the one that was a little bit more physical. It had Harry and Teddy, Emma and Haley. Haley got groped by a child in the middle of the street, by the way. I thought that was weird. And she said, I just got molested. And then Ben was like, okay. Dane and Bo, Beck and Kate, Pete and Frankie. Dane and Bo lagging from like the get-go, even before they got onto the tuk-tuk madness, all that sort of thing. They were behind from the start.
I think it's hard for them to get out of the tuk-tuk and into the tuk-tuk. I think just an issue there.
Look, I don't have I'm not blaming you for that, because I could not fit in a tuk-tuk at all. I'd be like, can I climb on the roof or something? I don't know. But like he even said, you ever been in a tuk-tuk before? And I was like, yeah. So they were lagging from the get-go. So we see the physical nature of the Chicken Dish challenge versus the more memory, attention to detail side for the Wedding Wish. We've also see already in episode 1, the first detour, heat in India, in New Delhi, being a real burden for some of these teams. In this challenge alone, Beck, Judd, suffering from heat stroke or really feeling the effects of the sweltering heat. And then we see Pam and George, Pam also affected by it. And then, spoilers alert for episode 2 that we're going to be discussing shortly, but we see it play a really big impact in the outcome of the game later on as well. So the weather playing just as big a part in the game as the challenges themselves, or even the contestants. Like it's really sort of the biggest enemy for them, which is always interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
what did you think of George's tough love for Pam when she was going through that?
I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I'm in there for the competition. Like, you want to hurry up. You want to get there and get done. If you're going to vomit, just vomit. Let's go.
The Amazing Race has a track record of very awkward, cringy team interactions. From a season where they had complete strangers that like hated each other, to oftentimes it's the couples, like the husband and wife, when they're fighting and you just go, oh, this is not good at home. Like you can see things. But with Pam and George, the fighting is very like bitter, but you can see it's just brother and sister giving each other crap like they would at home. You know what I mean? Like I thought that was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't think it was George's first time speaking to his sister like that. I think there's that long history there of that type of interaction.
Now, one of the interesting things, like we said, attention to detail versus the physical nature, and the good thing about, or the benefit, pros and cons of each side is what Bo said. But the pro, I guess, of the Chicken Dish is that you didn't have a lot to remember the attention to detail. But good old Harry and Teddy still took the opportunity to miss one of the items They had to go get another bag of garlic. So while V's here spouting, oh, it's so much easier. There's no way you could stuff it up. You've got a list in front of you. Harry and Teddy do it. And by the way,
I think that's like what Michelle was saying, that if they haven't watched the show very much, they might think, oh, it's just a thereabouts kind of thing. But no, the attention to detail, they will get turned away. Maybe they just thought they could rock up and that's all they had to do. They didn't have to get approved.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it always gets signed off. And the interesting thing, Michelle, I don't know if you noticed, but I saw that some of them had different ingredients. Like when they were handing them off and they were putting them all down, I think Bo and Dane pulled out like a pre-packaged, like whether it was the garlic or the onion, I don't know what it was, but it looks like what some people were putting down was very different to what other people were putting down. Sourced from different shops.
It depended which shop they got them from. I think as long as it was the actual ingredients, it was fine. I don't think they didn't have to buy from a certain shop. So then items would have looked a bit different. Yeah.
So this was, of course, with Harry and Teddy making that mistake, having to go back and get the extra garlic. We hear the line, which is one of my favorites for the episode. The mistakes you make with a dumb brain can be made up with speed. And that's what we did. So,
True.
Just cutting analysis there of their own game makes the mistakes you make with a dumb brain.
It worked for that episode.
So then from there, they either get the wedding wish or the chicken dish, obviously with their own challenges, the physical versus the memory. We get the next route info, which is going to visit children at a local pool and have to learn a Hindi phrase, which Andre Lee let us know about earlier. Who wants to give a go?
I know
to
it in English.
I'll butcher it.
Yeah, in English it's easier, right? So
I wouldn't dare.
We should all try. Oh, should we do a dance, like a song to it, so it's easier to remember, or do you want to take it in parts, or how?
Like Emma did. She made a song with like action. I'd rather say
they were in their element.
Please help me. I need to get to Qutub Minar.
That's
Except get to was at the end of the sentence instead of the middle. Yeah.
Would you have been able to do this?
Yeah. Eventually.
No problems.
Yeah, eventually. I think I would have taken the song approach as well, as like Emma and her sister. I think that was actually really clever. And I knew that they were going to nail this because this is the type of thing they do. And interacting with children is also something that would come so easily to them. And yeah, I'm not surprised they just breezed through this. It was a good strategy.
Yeah, because there were different strategies employed, which is really interesting to see. That they made it a song. I mean, Darren really struggled with it, but I love King George, but he's not being painted in a great light because we saw the interaction with the beggar screaming at his sister. Did you see what happened at the pool?
Oh yeah,
King George.
I can't remember.
So
getting
while
stressed out at little kids playing,
one of the kids jumped in and maybe got a bit of a splash, and he looks at the kid and goes, and it got bleeped, but you can imagine what the middle word is. For fuck's sake, like a little child.
I want to get splashed. I don't want to get in the pool with them.
Oh,
like after I finish, I want to jump in.
Yeah, considering the weather, right? I should be wanting a bit of a cool down.
Exactly.
He's just getting so angry. It was great.
I mean, how bad?
We did actually see.
I mean, you're so hot, and you're right next to a pool, and you can't get in the pool.
You can't believe they didn't jump in.
Surprised no one jumped in.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, yeah. See, Judge just cussed out a kid. That's amazing. So we do see different strategies employed. Emma with the song, Darren really struggling. Pete could not get his head around it at all. But one thing that I found really interesting, that the perpetrators of the phrase "if you make mistakes with a dumb brain" actually were the first team to finish with what I thought was some really interesting strategy. They said we targeted a girl, thinking that they may be better to teach, but also the girl was the oldest child there, which I don't know if that was intentional, but if you're talking strategy, the oldest person who's the most articulate, who, by the way, they wouldn't know this in the race, but they used that girl to do the actual phrase to camera so that we got it. So like they ended up picking the most perfect person, because one of the things that George had issues with was that, like, what RD says, it was hard because so many children speaking at once, whereas Harry and Teddy really kind of nailed that choice. I thought it was really interesting to see the people with the dumb brain kind of make a big brain move here. You know, what did you think of this challenge?
I thought it was really annoying that they didn't move the children over. Like, if there's two teams, why are they trying to learn the line side by side? Why aren't they moving one of the kids halfway up the pool and talking to them halfway up the pool? Why are they trying to listen to two at the same time? It struck me as not very bright. Like, come on.
Exactly. I would have been like, you come over here with us, one at a time. Yeah. So the boys were incredibly smart to do it that way.
Yeah, like really clever. We talked about why didn't they get in the pool. Sandy said same. I thought the team had to get in the pool and learn the phrase. And then RD with a little bit of logic that I couldn't muster myself, apparently, says, imagine if I had to change into a swimsuit, get into the pool, learn a phrase, change out of the... So, okay.
No, they wouldn't do
Good
that.
old RD for making sense, right?
Oh, God.
And Jonathan pointing out some of the kids did actually... sorry, to be fair, George would have had issues no matter what. Yeah, that's true. Jonathan did mention that some of the kids got out of the pool as well. So it was interesting. It would have been annoying as hell because I have 3 kids and it can get a bit like that. Just talking to them, like it's all screaming all at once, and you're just like, all right, shut up. I can't imagine a pool full of them with a language that you've never heard or learned before, having to memorize a phrase with their obvious communication difference in accent, as well as the fact that they're a small child, as well as the fact that they're all chirping all at once. It was a difficult one, and for Harry and Teddy to make that choice and come out of it was really quite good. And then others really struggled with it. That then leads Harry and Teddy to basically they get done by the Amazing Race Classic, which is a bad driver. It's not their fault necessarily. They came out first in the tuk-tuk, and again, these guys, after one episode, some of the quotes that they've got for me is so brilliant because I think Teddy said it should be called a tuk-tuk-tuk because they were tooking too long.
Just like, what is that?
That's the guy that mentioned the dumb brain, right?
He's quick. He had that ready to go. He thought of that in the tuk-tuk and he was ready with it for when it was needed.
Yeah.
So after they got were able to repeat the phrase, what was it in English again, Michelle?
Please help me. I need to get to Qutub Minar, which is the Victory Tower, the tallest. What was it? Is that the tallest
rock tower, stone tower?
Yeah, the tallest stone tower in the world.
Yeah, Victory Tower, which is where Bo is waiting for them for their first pit stop. So as I said, Harry and Teddy get done by the tuk-tuk, like getting lost, not knowing how to, like, stopping for directions, all that sort of thing. We see that come up in the Amazing Race so many times. Turns out it was taking too long because it allowed Darren and Tristan to land first on the mat. And for that, they got a night of additional luxury, a nicer hotel suite for the evening. Yes. Harry and Teddy then come in second. We have Emma Wiggle and Haley. I call her Emma Wiggle, even though that's probably really offensive because it's not her name at all. Emma Wiggle and Haley third. Ali and Angie are coming in fourth. Now, one of my favorite things that I've realized about this show after one episode is how much comedy and gold there is in Bo just simply talking to the person next to him that never knows what he's saying.
Oh, God, didn't you know this? Like, majority of them don't understand what he's saying. Majority. There are some that do. And it led into trouble when someone in last season knew exactly what he was saying. That was just trouble.
Oh, really?
But yeah,
I feel like Phil wouldn't take advantage of that situation for the jokes as much as Bo. But he just talks normally. He's just fully talking to them like they can understand. Yeah. And Ali and Angie was one of my favorite ones because he goes, you know Justin Bieber, right? he's got a friend named Cody Simpson who's got a sister who's got a mum. That's Angie Simpson. And that was like and the Indian guy's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why is he saying that? He,
I know. He's
So we
spending
end up
time
with
on that.
yeah. He's standing there for a long time too, right? Like he's getting really bored out there.
Not as
but
long as Phil once had to. I think Phil once had to stand on the mat. I think it was 21 hours waiting for the last team. He was on that mat from first to last 21 hours.
Oh,
wow, it's a long time.
One of the early
So
seasons.
Ali and Angie fourth. George and Pam come in fifth. He gets his revenge on the short-lived alliance with Yana and Core ditching the world's shortest alliance ever. They come in sixth, and George specifically says, "I just want to beat Yana," and then it
And then he
came
does.
to fruition. So that was a good little fun thing. We had seventh with the Wish version of Dave Grohl, Ben and Jackie. Jackie also feeling the heat, really impacted by that heat, and fell or lay down on the mat. Then we had the Deniers, Pete and Frankie, Beck and Kate, and Dane and Bo Simpson are the first team to be eliminated. They tried to do that edit thing. You know how they group players together? Like we'll see people land on the mat before the last challenge or detour, whatever it is actually completed.
Yeah.
And because it shows it sort of where they are in the race. And they sometimes try to bundle or package a few teams together. So there's a little bit of ambiguity. Like, is it going to be Pete and Frankie or is it going to be Dane and Bo? And you don't know until they finally get there. Dane and Bo, it was darker. Like there was less people. Like you could tell it was maybe not like hours later, but it was a lot later than Beck and Kate pulled up to that mat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm surprised Beck and Kate were right down near the bottom. I'm like, how bad was my prediction with them?
Well, that's what I think at the end of after the end of episode 2, because we'll obviously have to move Dane and Bo and whoever's been, but we'll look again where they belong and how wrong we were and how right we were. Because I think we got some things right. We did pretty good in some things and other things maybe not so much. But we can keep track of what we've got right and what we didn't get right.
All right. Are we on to episode 2?
We're going to,
Who would you?
We'll go some questions first. Who would you guys rank the Indigenous first races? Dane and Adam.
Okay, well,
between the three, who were the best?
Wes and Catherine would be the best out of all 3. God, geez, I'd have to put Dane and Adam second just by a whisper on Dane and Bo. Wes and Catherine definitely.
Yeah, first. I haven't seen. Actually, I don't know the other ones really, but if Dane and Bo's even close to like umming and ahhing at all, then that must have been bad for Dane and Adam as well.
They were bad. Yeah, I think they put them in the race just as a token team to represent Indigenous Australia, but they were not good at the race.
And Artie confirms that as well in this one too, saying it hurts watching Dane and Bo. You know that they'll get eliminated in leg 1 like immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, and then here, how does a marked taxi get lost?
Well, yeah.
So that, Jonathan, you're referring to the tuk-tuk at the end there for Harry and Teddy. They were in marked tuk-tuks, like actual Amazing Race reserved tuk-tuks, and he still got lost, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I think he is.
Okay.
So they're not just random tuk-tuks. They're actually rented for the
reserved
day.
ones.
Yeah, but they're not told. They're not told where they're going.
Where to go?
And
so
it's
when
still relying on tell them in that phrase. They had to tell them the phrase to get to the place.
Yeah.
So that maybe they didn't say it properly.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah. Sometimes they have to go find a taxi. Like that's part of the challenge in and of itself. But sometimes, depending where it is, they'll have set aside vehicles like for them to use. So it just depends.
Sure.
So we move on to episode 2 after losing Dane and Bo, and we're on a bus to Agra. They get off the bus, all keen and eager. Oh, you okay, Michelle?
Bug attack.
Bugs. They're not big
They're going to
enough.
love your screen.
She
Sorry,
wanted
go on.
to she wanted to
Continue.
empathize with the races a little bit more, put up with the elements.
Go for
Well,
it.
well, I tell you
So
what, Bo's reaction of, oh, good. I think it was Bo, the father, when he got eliminated. And he said, good, now I
Yeah.
can have a drink.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be how I would react. It would be the morning and I'd go, just eliminate me just so I can sleep in for a little bit longer and work off this jet lag. So I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that.
He deserved the rest. I think he deserved the
Yeah.
rest after that. Like we predicted that they'd go first, and it was pretty obvious from the get-go. And the fact that Dane said, if there was a challenge that we could do where he sits at the pub and has a couple of drinks, then he'd be great at it. So I don't think they were ever going to go very far at all. But we do start our episode 2 losing Dane and Bo. All our races are jumping off a bus in Agra. Darren and Tristan, because they're released in the same order that they arrived at the pit stop. Darren and Tristan get the first clue, and contestants had to deliver chai tea or chai. I think it's wrong to say chai tea, right? It's like saying TT.
Yeah, that's
TT.
fine. Just tea.
Deliver chai from a chaiwala to some office workers. They had to depend on locals for guidance, no Google Maps, nothing like that. And this is where the challenge actually can sometimes have its difficulties, in that you're asking people, and the way it looked, they're just more than happy to help out with any information, right or wrong, know what they're saying, waiting for a question first before they answer. Doesn't matter. They're just helpful.
Yeah.
This is commonplace in The Amazing Race, Michelle. That's one of the more challenging aspects, is dealing with the locals that in India as well apparently have zero problems just staring flat out in crowd.
They don't care. They just watch. And you could say, do you speak English? But they'll just stare. No one. A lot of people obviously don't speak English, but yeah, they hang around, especially the men in India.
Yeah, I liked how Emma said English like 5 times, but didn't change the way she was saying it. Just repeated it over and over until Taylor was let's just go for a walk.
Yeah,
which is always fun. So that
one
actual
of them, who was it? Can I just say, Harry or Teddy? One of them said, "I've never been to an office in my life." And that was right after one of them said, "I don't mind spending $20,000 on a weekend."
A weekend.
What the hell?
Well, was that Harry who grew up on the farm? Maybe he was saying he's always had the farm, or was that Teddy? One of them said that they had only ever worked on a farm.
Yeah, he worked on a mango farm.
Slightly less privileged.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But 20,000 on a weekend?
I wonder if
that's a good weekend.
Like, he goes into an office that's like, whoa, wow,
blue collar.
I thought it was good that they went to different ones. They didn't all go to the same place.
I got to feel like I was looking at him. I'm going, did they know they were coming? Because some of the officers seemed really like surprised by people busting in with chai. They're like, chai, take the chai. I don't even know if they were the correct ones or not, but they took it anyway because, the very angry people came in giving it to them, or very excited people giving the chai. They had no option. This actually takes them to the detour for the episode, which is, what did we have? We had make it stick or make it slick. So make it slick was to go to a river and wash clothes in the river in their more traditional style. And make it stick, again, traditional style of making fuel bricks, I guess is what they said, right? They use them to burn for fire.
Making fuel, yeah.
It was a good use of terminology they had there, saying that it's fuel, traditional ways of fuel, because it did actually trick a couple of the competitors. I know Beck and Kate said that they did not, they're such germaphobes, they didn't want to go near the river.
Yeah.
And ended up having to deal with literal Jurassic Park style levels of shit.
Amazing. I loved it.
What do you choose here? What do you do here, Michelle? Do you
I choose
play with shit or play with river water?
slick, I would have done that because you don't have to put your head into the river water. And that challenge has been done before. It's not too hard as long as you can get the dirt off the things. Then it's quite easy. It's that the whole hands in poo thing. No, see, I'd be scared if I go to India or Africa. I'd be on the lookout for any little turns of phrases that the production is trying to turn around the word poo, because that's what happens.
What about you, V? Are you diving headfirst into the poo or the water? There's probably poo in the water as well, to be honest with you, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I disagree. I'm a germaphobe a little bit as well. And the animal feces would attract me more than the potential human sewage. So I would 100% stick my hands in cow poo. And like I've grown up in the hills, that it doesn't scare me too much. Dog poo would be different, but cow poo, it's mostly grass anyway. So
yeah. My wife tried to tell me that. We're watching, and she's an animal person, has done animal science and, all that sort of thing, a little bit more rural than me. And I was like, that's just poo. Like, and she goes, cow poo's nothing. Like, it's way better. I would not, my wife said she would not go anywhere near that river and would do the poo in an instant. And I was like, I guess you're losing either way, right? Like,
yeah, like winning on
it. Yay! And it didn't look as hard. The washing looked like that was like physical hard work, whereas the poo was sort of but
yeah, it's
looked a lot easier.
Is what I think Harry or Teddy said. It's just like playing with poo, Play-Doh. It's poo-doh. Pam agrees with Michelle. She had a lot of issues with the poo on the wall. She wasn't doing it. Again, George showing that tough love as a brother.
What didn't she have issues with? I think it was every step of the way. She's out of her element, I think.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I was impressed with. Emma, knowing quite a bit of Indian. She was speaking between the tea, or she was saying something at the tea place at the office to them, which is really nice.
When I think she was saying, "Hi, my name is Emma," right?
Yeah,
and then the other guy introduced. Yeah,
and
that
they said,
was cool.
How cute was Grant giving the tea? He was really cute giving out the tea.
But then he goes on to say that thing about like I like that he acknowledged that he lives a privileged life, but it just feels like such a rich person thing to say and go, well, I thought I'd do some manual labor and bring the poor peasants some tea. Like, he's like that angle on it, the spin of like, I was like, all right, man, settle down.
Oh, God. And Ali left the bags. How do you leave your bags? Did she think they were in the tuk-tuk maybe?
And they just come through a freaking monsoon. Like while they were doing the make it slick challenge, it started raining like crazy. Like it's like monsoon just happened upon them. Ali and Angie finished first and throw it all away potentially throwing it away by leaving their bags at the tea shop, which is just a massive mistake. That's passports. That's everything, right?
I forgot to ask. I wanted to ask George if he got his shoes through customs. He had it on an Instagram reel or story. No, it wasn't a story. He had it on the other day and he asked people, did my shoes get through customs? But I didn't find the result. But how funny is it that him thinking about that? Because that is a major thing on your customs declaration form. Have you been to any farming areas? I mean, he's standing in the stuff.
Yeah, that's like as far as like disease worries or quarantine, like that's like ground zero for whatever
ground zero, literally
potential infection there might be. So just going to the comments for 1 second. The 20 grand on weekend for Harry. The one said that was Harry. And that's real dating show money. I don't know if they get that much money. Jeez, I should go on. Driving a Lamborghini, spending 20 grand in one weekend. We also learned from, as Jonathan pointed out, that this is where we learned Emma's PhD. She's got a doctorate in sign language and dance.
Well, that's why she left. Didn't she leave the Wiggles to finish it off? I thought she did.
Yeah. Yeah, that was her whole reason for leaving. She wanted to focus on her PhD in Auslan, I believe. But I think she just has an aptitude for languages, which is why she's sort of navigating her way around seemingly so much easier.
Here's an interesting point, because Andre says that he would rather do, if I can get it come up, he said he would do Make It Slick. And RD points out that at least on Make It Slick, they're wearing gloves and boots, whereas Make It Stick, they were raw dog and bare hands in there. You know what I mean? Like that's under your nails. That's like
I know.
in all
I can think about. Under the nails. Like how you'd have to clean so much. You know what? A little bit of sanitary stuff isn't going to work with that. You'd be scrubbing in the hotel room or somewhere. They must have rushed
like
the pit stop. I would have gone, by
hours.
Come here.
You almost want to do like the detour so that you can do the shit one, and when you look at your hands, you then go to the river and like you just try to clean as much as possible.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Jonathan asked, I don't think so, but no one's changed detours yet, right? In both episodes, no one's sort of quit one to go to the other.
No.
We have had the sit outs though, and the time penalty, which we'll talk about as well.
But not a switch.
Ellen, hey Michelle and Co. I'm excited to make a live stream. I would have chosen the washing because I deal with it enough at my workplace. I don't want to voluntarily put my hands in it. Yuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Gross.
Scott saying I feel so bad for Pam pulling up that shit while George is around. Yeah, that made it worse, isn't it? Like you're literally like got your hands in shit, and then you've got George just yapping in your ear. Come on, go do it.
Brothers and sisters.
Yeah, RD's a fan though because he thinks that Pam is going to be the season star. Interesting. I don't know.
She's got to get it together.
Yeah.
That's a very good question, by the way, Ellen. How did you not realize you don't have a heavy ass backpack on your back or in the tuk-tuk? Like the backpacks are bigger than the tuk-tuk, and they're like, I don't know. Did we have a backpack?
Perhaps they thought someone was going to bring it to their location, maybe?
Well, they may have because they are celebrities and things are done for them quite a bit. They could have thought that.
They may have asked someone to do it, maybe, and it wasn't going to happen.
Well, it's a little bit different in this instance, I think, because they were leaving that at a designated spot. Like they were obviously told to drop their backpacks there because I don't think generally in the race, if they have to bring that with them, they don't just leave it and go away
anywhere
in the middle of an Indian street. So I think it was safe. Like there was someone there because they all dropped them. They just didn't pick them up. So it might not always be like that. Sometimes like if they leave that backpack's probably
would be gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
But it was
anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be India. It would be gone.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, here we go. Scott says that maybe if Pam eventually slaps George hard enough, she'll be the star of the show. Star of the season.
Let's see it.
So we had Make It Slick, Make It Stick. Neither of them are fun. Both punishments, really. And that leads to an intersection. An intersection is basically a detour challenge where two of the teams have to combine. So they're doing it in groups of 4. I haven't come across that term before, at least not that I remember. The intersection, is that? Did they do that often where they make teams team up? Okay,
that's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing. You really don't want to be put with someone who can't dance, though. Oh my Lord!
That was the thing. They had to do a Bollywood dance, a routine, to remember the Bollywood dance routine. Again, a very common Amazing Race challenge, and you're basically teaming up with. They did have a choice though. They got to pick who they wanted to be with, but the way it kind of played out is you just want to go straight away. So whoever rocks up, you're partnering with them. So we get to see the first 2 teams is Harry and Teddy with Yana and Core. Now, when I said before, Michelle, that we're going to go through some things that we got wrong and we're going to go through some things that we got right. People last week was very hard on this team. We had Yana and Core as a early exit, potentially because Core's the youngest person to ever participate in the Amazing Race. He's 16 years old, and we just didn't trust that he would have the temperament or the resilience to put up with some of the things that you do in this. And when you said if you're teamed with the person that can't dance, Harry and Teddy got that exact wish here with
Oh
16-year-old Core
gosh.
not able to get the dance. First of all, why did they make him wear the dress? Why was he in the woman role? Like, I don't know if that might have helped him or not, but he was definitely in the woman role.
Yes,
And
I
Harry
know.
and Teddy
I don't
taking
understand
that
because
on.
usually the team stays together, so there'd be the man and
Yeah.
the woman. Obviously, the two guys refuse to be the woman.
Yeah, they just
I'm
alpha mailed him
assuming
into doing
they
it.
just alpha mailed it and said, "I'm not doing it," as the poor
They
Core
probably
had to do
gave
it.
him a noogie, said, "Put the dress on, Core." Like, I don't know.
Exactly. Because
But
it
Core
was very
freaks out.
unusual.
Core's
Yeah.
not getting it. He's having a hard time. He's got, like, this dude's 16, right? He probably only got control of those long ass limbs in the last 6 months. Like, you know what I mean? He's still
I know.
gangly and awkward, and like his voice only broke a couple years ago. And he's all those frustrations of being a 16-year-old kid that can't get it
Yes.
really came out. And we saw Yana having to go into full mum mode to bring him down, bring him back to
Yeah.
cover. Both of you are parents, so can you relate to the, first of all, we got it right that Core at some point would be a 16-year-old kid. We just didn't know it would be the first episode. What do you do in an instance like that?
Oh, look, well, my daughter, she'd be a bit better than him. She's 17. Oh God, I'd say just get yourself together. Just do it. We'll do it step by step. You've got to really talk slowly and calmly to them, or else they just lose the plot. Insane. It's just insane. You've just got to take it right back and talk to them like they're 5. That's all you can
You
do.
have the benefit of being in education as well, Michelle. So you've got all the
Oh, yeah.
techniques to get things across and make young people do things that they don't necessarily want to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Certainly.
Well,
But
you've
yeah,
got
what about
to
you?
feel sorry. You've got to feel sorry for the kid. He's got enormous pressure. You can see that he's desperately
Yeah.
trying to please his mum, make a good impression. Then you've got those older big brother type guys coming along. He wants to please them. And I think if I was his mum, you bring it back to the fun. We're having fun. We're making memories. You focus on that, you'll be all right. I think
Yeah.
he's just taking it so seriously, and I think that's going to be his downfall if he just lets it get on top of him.
Well, especially if they have a roadblock where he is separated from his mum and he's got to do things by himself. This might be a downfall for him.
Yeah, Jonathan probably backing that up here as well. What we were saying, Core's little tantrum was such a 16-year-old thing to do, or such a 16-year-old thing. My 16-year-old brother reacts very similar to frustration.
Yeah.
Andre's got a way to deal with that, though. He said, if I was doing the intersection 50-50 of the time, or 50% of the time, I'd say no to the other team, not you. I'll wait until another team arrives. That's, I mean, you
Wait till
probably
Emma
should
arrives.
Yeah,
But
you should do that sometimes.
But sometimes the intersection, you have to work with that team. Like we've done in Australia before, where they had to wrestle for, was it in Turkish wrestlers? Like they had to all have oiled up bodies and they had to tackle them together. Or it could be an intersection where I think it was in Canadian recent season, they played like a tennis match or pickleball, I think it was, together. And then one person, the winning team then leaves. And so the other team's left there to battle the next team. So
Right, okay.
sometimes it could be an intersection where you work together and sometimes it isn't. So
but you are reliant on the other team, either positive or negative. So it can be you beat them or you're tied to them. Gotcha. Yeah. Andre said that Core's T-Rex dance moves was automatically like a no.
I didn't see
RD
that.
said, no thanks, we're waiting for Emma. That's great.
And Emma was just quietly, I've danced Bollywood before, so,
I happen to just
what
go
can't
with
she do?
the biggest Bollywood star. Because I was here last time with the Bollywood star. But we did see Ali and Angie, Emma and Haley team up to be the Masala Spice Girls, which was great. And they smashed it. They knocked it out of the park because not only is Emma and Haley both dancers, Emma being Emma Wiggle, Haley now dances with her, which I found out today on her show Emma Memma, which I also found out was a thing today. But Ali is also a presenter, performer, singer, dancer, hyphenate person as well. So, and Angie, not a dancer, but we did hear multiple times that she was a swimmer. I don't know if that helps, but I just found it funny that she mentioned it so many times.
One's in the family.
Yeah.
I like that Grant came up and said, "Can I use a gold Logie as an idol, as a get out of jail free card?"
Yeah, I've got a gold Logie. I don't need to do this. I'm out. Yeah, he definitely would have used it on the shit bricks kind of thing. But we did have Darren and Tristan, Ben and Jackie in the middle of the pack. George and Pam with Beck and Kate. They struggle to the point that George actually convinces them to take a time penalty for a full hour.
It didn't take long.
Yeah, like they saw the writing on the wall.
Well, exactly. And why, make yourself extra tired and extra hot if you think you can't do it and you've got the chance with another team to take this time penalty, and then it's like you and them to the finish.
Yeah.
So it's been done before. I don't know whether you know of Rob and Amber. They did it in their season of The Amazing Race. Rob and Amber from Survivor. They got a whole lot of teams to take a time penalty with them instead of eating a whole lot of meat. It was kilos and kilos of meat. They didn't want to do it. And he convinced all these teams to take the time penalty with him. It was amazing. It was a masterstroke. And
I mean, it's the Godfather, right? Boston Rob. He thinks those things. That's what he does. But I've often thought, like, some of the challenges which you see, sometimes they do them like into the night. Like, it's taking so long, and I'm like, yeah, like, figure out what's the time penalty, because they're on some seasons, some challenges, something it's half an hour. Sometimes it's more. Like, it just depends. You got to make that calculation. And I would be thinking of what that calculation is, like, immediately. Is this going to take longer than half an hour, or is this going to take longer than an hour to nail? And I think you can look at some teams and kind of make that judgment call where it might actually be advantageous to take the penalty rather than, like, first of all, what we can do. I'm aware of whether I can nail this dance or not, but also the people that are currently doing it or the people that are coming behind us or next, I don't think they're going to nail it either. So there's some data there to play with and make that calculation. George decides to take it, and it looked like it wasn't going to be the right decision, because we had a team with Grant, Shezzy, Pete, and Frankie. 45-degree weather, playing havoc again. Shezzy is actually the one that's falling down a couple times during the dance, and we think they've got the clock sort of appearing sometimes when George and Kate's, or George and Beck's team, George, Pam, Beck, Kate. Like, I don't know how to do the team. We got to come up with team names. Like, they were sitting there, and sometimes they show the clock, and it looks like they weren't going to make it. But then, unfortunately, Grant, after completing the challenge, so did do the dance. They actually got through it and were beating George. So they were going to come down to that race. They knew that was what was going to be the outcome. And then Grant falls to the floor, faints. And
I think he pushed himself to the limit, absolute limit, to get it done. I think Chezzy was doing the same, and her falling over. Sometimes I didn't know whether it was the hem of her skirt because it was really long, or it was the heat and being so tired and doing things over and over and over again. So she just could have been tired. But him falling down and then, he basically can't get up was amazing.
Yeah, it was shocking. Like, last week, you said Grant Denyer can do anything. Apparently not get up off the floor after suffering heat stroke.
Well, last week I also said that footage was probably clickbait, and he's probably just fine. And
so one of the things you got wrong
it was a lot more serious than he looked. Absolutely terrible.
And even when he got up, you could see him on the ground. He was really white pale, and then when he sat up, he wasn't that much better. And then when they said they were going off to the pit stop, I thought, he doesn't look too bad now. When he got out of that tuk-tuk, if you noticed, when Bo got the mat to him, he his eyes were really weird when he got out of the tuk-tuk. The camera was right close to him. And I thought, oh, that doesn't look good. And then he was on the mat and he was slurring his words. And I'm thinking, oh, this is not good. He's not carrying on.
He looked like he was. I mean, if I didn't know better and see him just pass out, I would have been asking, like, where does he get his stuff from? Because he's got a really good dealer. The way he was like talking to Bo and just seemed really out of it. I'm like, this guy's not good. And he's so sweetly, by the way, when Bo said, I really wanted you to see the Taj Mahal, and makes his little stupid Bo joke about a little tiny bird model of the Taj Mahal. And Grant was like, oh, that's so sweet. And then that's when he passed out. So he was still even in the moment of like,
he's very professional, great showman in that he knows he has to get through things. And I'm assuming he has in his career gone through shows being sick and whatever else. And he's had to get through and get to the end of a take or a taping. And this is what he did then. And he did say, I don't know whether I heard it today or yesterday, that during those 3 days in India that they were there, it was like a major heat event, and 100 people actually died in those 3 days.
Wow.
From heat affected things.
Thank God that Grant wasn't one of them, because we did get the note at the end that he recovered well and is fine. And realizes that he's not Larry Emder, which was a good little reference to the show when he said he was Larry Emder.
That was the best.
So unfortunately, we see Grant and Shezzy going home due to basically being medically, eliminated. Emma and Hayley Wiggle, after doing the Masala Spice Girls, they did come through in that dance. Ellen pointed out, Emma and Hayley were like, "Move aside, bitches! It's my time to shine." That really strong performance on the dance got them through to first place for the second leg, followed by Ali and Angie, Harry and Teddy, Yana and Cor in fourth place after the meltdown at the dance. Darren and Tristan in fifth, Ben and Jackie, George and Pam 7, Beck and Kate 8, then Pete and Frankie with Grant and Shezzy being eliminated. So that brings us to the end of episode 2 and our first week done and dusted. We'll have a quick look at where we had the teams and where we think we need to
Kate need to get better for me. Like, what's going on? They're right at the bottom.
So first of all, we had Dane and Bo eliminated, Grant and Shezzy eliminated. So then we had, let's go through the top. Darren and Tristan, first place in the first. That's a really good. Fifth place in the second episode. So they're averaging like 1 + 4. It's a third place. Third place.
Happy
so they're probably.
there.
You're happy with them still being amazing? Beck and Sister Kate got, what did they get? Like a 9 and an 8 or a 10 and an 8 or something like that? What is it?
A 10 and an 8. Like, what the hell?
So they're not up here at all. Do you think they should be at the bottom, or they kind of?
But we can't move them now. I'm hoping they'll redeem themselves.
Oh, well, we can make sort of predictions for next week, what we think is going to happen. So let's put people in early exit that we think that danger. Yeah, well, we can move them. We get to move them. It's more like power rankings, I guess. Who is the best ones now after each week? Who are the best? Who's the middle? It's not to see what we got right at the end, but more to keep track of how we're doing.
Well, I'd swap Beck and Kate and Ali and Angie right now.
Yeah.
What?
So Ali and Angie to the top?
Yeah.
Or lower. Okay. And Beck and Kate, are they going middle or are they going down? Middle.
Middle.
Yeah, we won't drop them too far.
Peter and Frankie got 9-9, like both times. They came in 9th place. And if they keep that track record up, that's out next episode.
And they were stressed both times. They didn't think they were going to get across the line both times. They weren't comfortable. They weren't aiming for near the top. They were just hoping to not be last. So I don't think they'll be there at the end of next week. But I'd like to see Emma and Hayley move up to Amazing Races like I predicted last week.
Emma and Hayley?
Just saying.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think statistically, they came third in the first one and then first in the second one.
Yeah.
So, like, they've got an average finishing place of, like, 2 of second place.
Yeah, you see, I thought Hayley was going to turn into a hot mess, but she's not. She's
No,
very
she's holding
confident.
it
They're doing
together.
very good.
Yeah.
Ali and Mum Angie, so they probably at the moment, like Harry and Teddy are impressing me, actually. I didn't think they'd do as good as they are. So I'm not sure about, like, they're still dumb, but they can come over dumb brain mistakes with speed.
Apparently.
Although that doesn't always work out in the Amazing Race, does it? Like, sometimes the dumb brain mistakes, there's not enough speed that can make up for some of the things they do.
Yeah.
And it
Correct.
looked like, we didn't get a lot of context, but it looked like the preview for next week, I think Core does something really dumb or really bad, or like it looked like they were in danger. Whether that might have been a red herring
Roadblock, maybe.
in the edit, but he looked very upset again, and Yana was very upset for him. What do we think of Yana and Core? Should we keep them? They came fourth, so do we keep them as early exits? Are they still? We didn't like the temperament we saw from Core, but do we think they deserve to move up, or they're still kind of at the bottom?
Poor little Call. I don't think he's going to hold it together. I'd keep them where they are. I think he's trying, but bless him.
We'll keep him there. Oh, here's some again, Jonathan. He's awesome with our stats. Top 3 average. When we said placement, Emma Haley second to second place average. Harry and Teddy 2.5, and Ali Angie, Darren Tristan 3.
So Harry and Teddy might need to head up as well.
Does that mean they crack the top, or do they get actually, because they're tied with Ali and Angie anyway, right? If they're averaging 3. So this is the finishes here. Have a look at this. If I can't show it to you. It's on the wrong screen. But basically, Harry and Teddy came in second and third in the 2 legs so far. Ali and Angie 4th and 2nd. Darren and Tristan 1 and 5. So I mean, statistically, that's a big drop off for Darren and Tristan to go from 1st to 5th, but still middle of the pack. They're not like going from 1st to 8th or something like that.
I need Harry and Teddy to do something cerebral. See how they go at that.
Right. Yeah. Do we want to leave it this way? Do we want to make any more? Ben and Jackie, they were middle of the pack completely. They didn't suck. They weren't anywhere near the top. They weren't anywhere near the bottom. Never really in doubt. Didn't do much. Are we happy to leave them as early?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
And George and Pam, did they impress you?
They're middle of the pack still for me.
Yeah. So this is looking pretty right-ish.
Yeah.
So we're thinking that we've got 2 episodes coming up this week. Potentially, or hopefully, 2 of the eliminated will come from these 3. I think Beck and Kate have a lot to make up for as well.
I think it might be Yana and Core and Peter and Frankie to go. I don't think Ben and Jackie are going to go this week.
Yeah.
Well, here's again, adding to the statistics, Jonathan Gray said it's Yana and Core in 4th, technically. George, Pam, 6, Ben, Jackie,
9.
Kate, Pete, Frankie, 9. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, 10-8 and then 9-9. So Yana and Core, their performance said they should be higher, but we're just seeing cracks in Core's temperament that we're not liking. Because the thing about the Amazing Race, you can be very consistent, and some of these people we're seeing, it's only 2 legs, so small sample size, but when you're finishing 2nd, finishing 3rd, finishing 1st, finishing 4th, finishing top 5, both legs kind of thing, it says that you're probably a little bit more consistent. But we have seen in the Amazing Race, people will go from 1st to last or last to 1st and have big swings. So was Tristan and Darren's win in episode 1 the anomaly, or we're going to see them back towards the top? There's a lot of questions that have come out of this, and I'm really loving it. But I think that kind of brings us to the end of episode 1 and 2, season 1. Week 1 review of The Amazing Race. Highlight for you this week, V?
I love seeing Emma just navigate this whole experience with such grace. I've always been a big fan of hers, and I think she's learnt a lot of the language in the time that she's had. gone into it with a great attitude. So it's been great seeing Emma and Hayley. And I just love seeing George just so paranoid about everyone around him and wanting to basically start war wherever he goes.
What about you, Michelle? Highlight for the week?
Seeing George in a different, different game.
It's good having King George on our screens again, isn't it?
Well, he's interesting. He provides the entertainment. He
Absolutely
knows.
fascinating character.
Yeah.
Really good. All right, so that does bring us to the end of our episode. I want to send a big thank you to all the people in the chat. We had so many people tonight. Jonathan, our statistician, as always. Andre, for the $5 at the start. Thank you again, Andre. Ellen, Samuel, RD. Who else did we have? Scott, Packenpaw.
Ellen.
Yeah, great.
Ellen.
Yeah, Ellen Henright. Great chat. Thanks, everyone. I hope you had a good night. We're going to be doing it again next Sunday, same time. We're going to be reviewing episodes 3 and 4, week 2 of the Amazing Race Australia Celebrity Edition. Until next time, I hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.